another episode of What You Think. You're joined today by me, Mel, Jang, Momo, and Fezz. So for
Season
episode
2.
8, yes, exactly. For episode 8, we're entering a new era of our podcast. It's technically the first episode of season 2, and we thought we'd do something incredibly special and talk about the 3 particular Star Wars films. So we have Momo, would you like to introduce the 3 Star Wars films? Since
So we're
you
going to be talking
absolutely
about
love
the
them.
we're going to be talking about the sequel trilogy. There are 9 Star Wars films in the main saga. So yeah, the films we're going to be talking about are Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens, which came out in 2015. Star Wars Episode
Mhm.
8: The Last Jedi, which came out in 2017, and Star Wars Episode 9: The Rise of Skywalker, which came out in 2019, which I shall use today as an avenue to finally express what I truly think of this film, having been in denial for the better part of a year and a half.
I am absolutely looking forward to that. And since I'm most probably the anomaly here, and I've not really been an avid Star Wars fan watcher, it's going to be basically about these 3 other hosts teaching me various things about it. As for this episode, we'll be diving into what the other hosts liked or disliked about each of the Star Wars movies that we've just listed earlier on, comparing the 7th and the 9th Star Wars movie, which were both directed by J.J. Abrams, comparing the 8th
Abrams.
Star Wars movie at oh, Abrams. Thank you. Comparing the 8th Star Wars movie to the 7th and the 9th episode, discussing the soundtrack, and we're going to end it on a light note with the other hosts' favorite iconic moments and dialogues. So let's dive into it. All right, so we're going to be talking about what we liked or disliked about each of the Star Wars movies. Firstly, we're starting off with Star Wars The Force Awakens, which came out in 2015. Let's start off with you, Fez.
Okay, what we like, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, I'm just gonna start with my initial reactions first. Like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was very entertained. I'm like, oh my God, Star Wars is back on the big screen. I was like, yeah, I was so happy. But then when I watched it again at home, I was like, I wasn't as blown away as I was the first time, but it was still the better movie out of the other 2 movies. So what I do like is I really love BB-8. I thought BB-8 was one of the better new characters. I thought like just his shape and his personality is just really, really cute. Um, I really love I love Finn's past. I love how we understood Finn from the beginning as he was a stormtrooper, and how he does not want to be a stormtrooper anymore, and he feels that what the dark side is doing is horrible. And I love that a lot, which I will get to that in the last when we discuss about the last movie. I love the cameos in Star Wars, especially out of all the 3 Star Wars, the new sequels. I love the cameos in this one, especially from Daniel Craig when he was a stormtrooper interrogating Rey, and I'm a big Thomas Brody Sangster fan, and he was in there for like 5 seconds, but he was so good. I
Then he
remember
blew up.
yeah, I was so sad.
Yeah.
I remember what he exactly said. He said we have an unsanctioned departure in Bay 2. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yes, I love him in that. Um, I really love that. I really love
Then
when
Manuel Miranda, can I just say that?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
He was in episode 9, right?
No, Force Awakens as well. He
What
and
really?
J.J. Abrams wrote the Cantina song that you hear.
Oh, really? That's really interesting for me. I really, really like Han Solo. Like just seeing Han Solo again
Yes.
and his snarky remarks. It was just so fun to see. My favorite scene from Han Solo in Force Awakens was when um Finn was like trying to talk, saying, "Oh, this is how the Force works," and then like Han Solo was like so pissed. He took Finn. It's like that's not how the Force works. I just missed that. I think it was so fun to see. Um, I really like the lightsaber scene with Kylo and Rey at like the end
Oh
in
yeah.
the forest. That was so intense, but it was beautifully done. The choreography was amazing with the score, and I love the ending of what J.J. Abrams did about how, like, when Rey passed his lightsaber to Luke Skywalker, it's kind of like a message saying, teach the next generation of like Jedis. You know, it's like passing that baton from like kind of like teaching, like it's kind of like passing the baton from like one master to another for the next generation to lead. So I really like that a lot. And yeah, that's my positives.
Yeah, I totally agree with the whole BB-8 thing as well. Like that really stood out to me. I just love the way he was just rolling everywhere because that would be me as a character in Star Wars. I feel just keep rolling. And yeah, so for you, you feel like The Force Awakens is something that you probably would only feel most of its effect the first time you watch it, but not necessarily after you watched it for maybe like the second or third time. Because I think that's something you alluded to at the beginning.
Yeah, I might as well go to my negatives now. Like
Yeah.
when I rewatched it, when I rewatched Force Awakens, I rewatched it again with watching the first ever Star Wars movie from episode 1 to Rogue One to episode 4, leading up to episode 7. And when I'm just reflecting, and I felt like Force Awakens had not much originality. Like when you think about the whole Force Awakens like massive plot, it was just that they were dealing with another Death Star but bigger. It was kind of like episode 4. Episode 4 was like they were just dealing with Death Star. Episode 7, they're just dealing with a bigger Death Star. And I'm just like, couldn't you I just wish there was more originality in that. I just felt like that was slightly recycled, which I was kind of disappointed in. But overall, I still had fun compared to the other two movies, which we'll get into later.
All right. How about you, Jang? Is your mic working right now?
Yeah, is my mic working?
Yay. Yes, it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
what you liked and disliked about Star Wars The Force Awakens?
Okay, Star Wars The Force Awakens was actually, I think it's my favorite Star Wars out of the 9 movies. Like a lot of people say no, but that's currently my favorite because it's just everything that Fezz said, like all the actors were good, and then I really like the pacing and the one
Yes.
thing about the original series, which is a bit a lot of people disagree with me on this, but like the graphics, like of course not it was made so long ago, the graphics are a bit like outdated, but then watching The Force Awakens with with the
You like
graphics
it
was like
crispy.
nice again. Yeah, it's crispy and it's
Yeah.
nice, and then all the space battles and everything was just crispy, and the laser is it just looks so good. And yeah, so that's definitely my favorite Star Wars. They introduce new characters really well, and at the same time they showed Han Solo and Leia and Chewie, all of them again, and it's so good to see them on the screen. And like how like it's just a roller coaster, you know, like when Han Solo first came out, you're like, oh my god, and then when Han Solo died, you're like, oh no. So then like they really, you were really on a whole roller coaster throughout the movie. Yeah, and like Fez said that it's a bit cliche, you know, it's another Death Star, it's coming again, but but I kind of like I didn't mind that, because to me it's like, oh, it's the refreshed version. It's like the story happening again, which is like, yeah, it's the same thing, but at the same time it was kind of new, so I quite like that. The only two like kind of negative things I have, not really negative, they're more like nitpicks. It's Kylo Ren when he first took off his helmet. He it didn't look right. Like it's supposed to be Han Solo's son, and I was expecting him to look different. And then when he took off his mask, I was like, "Who is that?" So it was really weird. Yeah, after a while, like after you saw him after episode 8 and 9, I was just like, oh, okay, I can get, I can get it. But the first time I saw him, I was like, what the hell? And then the other time was when the other nitpick is that when Ray, when he fought Kylo Ren, like the whole sequence was amazing. The lightsabers were so crispy, I love it. But like they how she's just so overpowered suddenly, like she has never held a lightsaber like Snoke said in episode 8, and then how she was just from like well, she just picked it out of nowhere and just so I was like, oh wow, okay. But then but to give to Kylo Ren, he did get shot and he did kill his father, so like okay lah, you a bit weak lah, but but at the same time, like, really, you just got destroyed. But okay, cool. Yeah, so that was the only two nitpicks I have. But other than that, it's my favorite Star Wars movie. Uh, roller coaster of emotions and just paced beautifully and paid homage to the original series really well. So I really liked it. Yeah.
I just want to further add to Jang's point. I completely agree with him. Out of the three the sequel movies, The Force Awakens is my favorite one out of the two, because like what he said, the pacing was really well done. And what I love about this, which I'm going to really go into with the other two movies, is consistency. Force Awakens, generally the whole movie was very consistent from its storyline to its pacing, and it was written well done as like a good setup for the other two movies. So that's why it's my favorite also, because it's just much more consistent than the other two movies.
All right, consistency. Okay, we're moving on to Momo now. I see you shaking your head a lot of the time. Is there something that you want to say?
No, I mean, we could spend all day. I could rebut a lot of your points, but I have to agree with Jang. I've always said that, Empire, or what is it, Return of the Jedi, is my favorite of the Star Wars movies. I guess because I've held them to such a high standard ever since I was small. So I always feel like, oh, I can't touch that. Oh yeah, 6 and 5, those are the best. You can't deny it. But after thinking about it a lot and rewatching The Force Awakens for the past like 6 years, I don't know. I feel like I'm ready to say it. It might be my favorite of the bunch, and I'm going to go
Ooh.
into it later about how
I have turned him.
it doesn't matter the quality of the movie really. It's the memories associated with that movie that I have, but that's a discussion for another time. If we're just going to talk about the movie, I'll agree with Jang and Fez. This movie is, to me, nearly perfect. The pacing is perfect. The introductions of the new characters, Fez talked about Finn. I'm going to go with Rey, as I think they stand out of the whole movie. The first scene where you're introduced to her, she's scavenging to the Star Destroyer, and there's barely any dialogue. It's not some kind of exposition like, hello, I'm Rey, my life is sad, my parents left me. You get all of that through dialogue later on, but Daisy Ridley, I think, A Star is Born. The performance in this film, yeah, like an absolute revelation. As I think Mel pointed out in the notes, absolutely expressive. So yeah, a lot of what Jang and Fez said, perfect introduction of the old and the new. I will contend that Harrison Ford should have gotten a Best Supporting Actor nomination, Oscar nomination for his performance as Han Solo in this film. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that and just say I have nothing bad to say about this movie, except that I feel like you can see some of the problems which is later going to be amplified tenfold in the Rise of Skywalker, such as the conveniences, which R2 suddenly coming up at the end. With the Rise of with the Force Awakens, you shrug it off. You're like, okay, fine. It's everything else has been pretty tight up to this point, and Starkiller Base does suck. It's kind of annoying just to have another bigger Death Star, but I feel like the movie knows it. There's a great line where the guy where Han Solo just goes, so it's big, how do we blow it up? The Starkiller Base is really just a backdrop for the real heart of the movie in the third act. The confrontation between the father and the son, and Rey taking up her role, I guess, or accepting the awakening of the Force within her. So Starkiller Base is really just a backdrop for me for all the action, and I love the scene where Starkiller Base blows up. That beautiful shot where the whole planet just gets sucked in, and you get that John Williams music cueing in, and beautiful large sun that just looked really crispy, especially in the Force Awakens. You really feel like you've just been on an amazing journey for the past 2 hours, and it's come to a beautiful conclusion. So yeah, I love this movie. Nothing bad to say.
It seems like the Star Wars, The Force Awakens seems to be something that is heavily liked by all of you. I wonder if that's going to be the same thing for Star Wars, The Last Jedi. Is there going to be more dislikes than positives? I don't know. We shall see. Starting off with you, Jang, what do you think?
What that one. I mean, it just completely flipped for that movie. It went from amazing. Then when that movie came, the first time I watched it, I thought it was alright.
Mhm.
Like I thought it was like okay, it works. And then after I thought about it and watched it again, I was like, oh my god, the whole movie was okay. Okay. So like I'll say the good things about it. Like uh the at the end near when oh sorry when Kylo and Rey team up to kill Snoke, that was such like a twist that I didn't see coming. And like when they teamed up together, it was really amazing and it really worked out really well. And then I really like the Ray and Luke together. I liked them at first, but then okay, now we're going to negatives. Like they kind of did it too much. Like at
That was
first it was
fast.
nice together. They were really
Yeah, I
good together, and
understand.
then
Yeah.
it's just her walking around following him, and like I'm just like, why are we doing this? And then the whole movie, like the start and the finish to me was the
Mhm.
best parts. Like it was really fast paced, and then like oh they had to escape, and then at
Mm.
the end also they had
Mm.
to try and escape. But the whole middle part of the movie was just really draggy as they were just being
I
chased by the by the first order, and they were just going on and on and on, and there were a lot of like problems like I guess logic points that could have been fixed. Like there was one with Captain Holdo. Like most of the resistance turned on her because they thought that she was just leading them to their death. But if she just told everybody like, oh, we're going to this
Mhm.
planet and we're gonna, yeah, there's a lot of logic stuff that can be
Yeah.
fixed easily. And like the things that Luke says to Rey about how the Jedi are horrible, and he just started turning into whining after a while. I'm just like, can you just stop it? Like there's a
Yes.
new problem already. There's no time to whine. So like yeah, there's so many. Oh, and the scene where Leia got blown up and then she flew back to the ship. Like what is going on? Like when is that a power? Like so like a lot of things that it just didn't, the whole movie didn't really it just didn't land at the at the end for me. Yeah.
So kind of like an illogical movie from
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
just
getting
I was
from
like
Jang at this point. Yeah. First, you seem extremely enthusiastic, so I'm gonna toss it to you right now.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched this in the cinema with my dad and sister, and when the movie ended, we just looked at each other. We were like, "What? Like, what was this? What the hell did we just watch?" Okay, before before I go into, okay, I will go into the positives, and I do have to say, I admit I was too harsh on Ryan the director. That when I think back, I really do appreciate Ryan's direction and idea and do something that was not like, which has not been seen in Star Wars, especially at the end where it showed that this little boy has the Force, and
Mm.
he wanted to show that anyone can have the Force. It doesn't have to be a special name like Skywalker. Literally anybody can have it, which I love a lot, and I really appreciate it now. I love the Pogs. The Pogs are really cute in that in there. I thought Ryan Johnson did a really good job creating them. I love how some scenes were shot, like when Rey was looking at herself and this like mirror. It was
Oh,
just like many versions of her,
yeah.
and when she snapped, that scene was so beautiful. I also
Click, click,
love,
click, 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 click.
yeah, it was like click. It was just so, it was so breathtaking to see. And I, although I will get into Holdo later, I do like that scene where Holdo sacrificed herself by sending her ship to the First Order ship into hyperspace, and like that scene just paused
Hold
and
a
there's
minute.
this like light breaking. I just, it was so,
Silence.
it
Oh
was
my God.
so beautiful to see. um
In
I
IMAX.
yeah, oh my god, IMAX, it was so beautiful. I also love in the Last Jedi, they showed like different perspectives of Luke and Kylo, and of Luke and Kylo scene of like what really happened in the Jedi Academy, which I thought was really interesting. I also love I love how Ryan brought a lot of nostalgia to this film, which was done correctly, especially when Yoda came out. Oh my god, when Yoda came out, the whole
Ooh, that's a good
cinema
scene.
was like screaming and just was in awe. I love that a lot. For me, the nostalgic scenes that touched me the most was when Luke Skywalker met R2 in the ship,
The
and it
Millennium
was
Falcon, yeah.
the Millennium Falcon. It was just so sweet. And when he saw the Leia hologram of Leia saying,
Oh,
"Help me, you're my only hope," that was so
that was a
beautiful.
cheap move.
It was like it brought all the nostalgia, which I really love a lot. And I like Kylo and Rey's really. It's not, for me. I don't know how people interpret it, but I don't think it was a romantic relationship. I just felt they just shared interest. I never saw them as a romantic relationship, but I thought it was really good how they showed their relationship. Okay, the negatives. Oh God. Okay. So I do have to agree with Jang a lot in the negatives. Like, I like the idea of what Ryan wanted to do, but personally for me, it didn't execute well. It was not consistent. I 100% agree with Jang. The storyline just dragged too much, and personally for me, I felt like the way the characters were portrayed in that movie were really unfriendly, and I just didn't care at all, and I just wasn't interested about them, especially Poe. I hate Poe. All my friends know I hate Poe. I hate Poe so much in this
The
movie.
panda?
We should get you a shirt that says that.
I hate Poe. Everyone knows I hate Poe. He was just so annoying. Like what Jang said, like he just was so like what's like he if he just shut up, he would like then everything would have been fine. The same with Holdo. Like the way Holdo was written was just also so annoying. Like it was just written like we don't know what her plan was until like the very end, which was really annoying as an audience watching it because she's new and I don't understand her motive. So I just found that really, really, really annoying. Okay, I was really shocked that the Supreme Leader and Captain Phasma died. I remember when I watched in the cinema, I was like, wait, what? Like I thought they would be the main villains of like the whole arc for the sequel. So I was very shocked that they died. I really wanted to see more of them, but we don't. And also the way Rose was written. Like, look, I'm really happy to see like an Asian woman coming to Star Wars, like representation. I loved it, but personally, it was just not executed well. It was just written. She was written really obnoxious, which was such a shame. I wish they wrote her a better character because I want to see that representation. And the scene that dragged a lot, which is what Jang mentioned a lot, was I've personally found the casino scene a waste of time. Like if you watch the movie, the casino scene led to nowhere, which I was really pissed about. I also felt like the casino, I don't know if you guys agree on me on this, but I felt like the casino scene didn't feel Star Wars. It felt like it didn't feel Star Wars. Star Wars is all about bringing all these new world building that we've never seen. And it just didn't feel like, it just felt like a human like
It
thing.
annoys me that there was a lot of money spent into that.
Oh my God.
A lot of money was put into that set,
Yeah.
the aliens.
Ah,
We don't like it.
yeah. I just want to also add before Momo talks about what he loves and doesn't love. It's just that although I didn't like the film, I felt like the hate for it was really strong. Like I remember online, the hate with it was insane. The hate for Ryan as a director was really, really bad. And the worst one was for Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose. The hate she got was so bad that she deleted social media. And I just feel like, yeah, even though you hate the movie, like don't pass the hate to like the director or people behind the scenes because like they're just doing their job. And if you don't like them, then like just write constructive criticism, but like just like pure hate. I remember that was quite awful when it came out. Yeah.
It happens a lot, and I don't even I've not really been in the franchise, but I did hear this is something I discussed with Momo earlier today, and I was like, so I heard The Last Jedi wasn't really thoroughly loved by many. Like, what do you think about that? And yeah, so I guess wow, the hate was immense. Anyways, Momo, what do you have to say about The Last Jedi?
I love this movie as well. I don't know. I always went back and forth. Force Awakens, Last Jedi. Which one do I like more? I would give the edge to Force Awakens because I think it's more consistent. But The Last Jedi, I mean, the highs of this movie I think you're getting deep. This is Star Wars at its best at certain points. In particular, the master apprentice dynamic. The scenes with Rey and Luke and Kylo Ren are an exploration of what the Jedi mean, bringing in the ideas from the prequels, the originals. What does the Force mean? An exploration of how we these all-powerful Jedi beings, how they would, act in the galaxy. I thought the a master who's failed his son, how does he deal with that? The weight of the universe on his shoulders. So yeah, I said that Harrison Ford should have gotten a Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for The Force Awakens. I think Mark Hamill should have gotten some award for The Last Jedi. Kylo Ren and Rey's dynamic, I don't see them in a romantic way as well, and I think it repulses me. Like, ugh, when they kissed in The Rise of Skywalker, it makes me want to vomit to no end. But I like the dynamic, the throne room scene. Yeah, but I'll say this: the movie, when all the storylines converged, yeah, then it's firing on all cylinders. I'll say Canto Bite, it's fine, but nowhere as good as the other stuff that's happening. So that's where everything I feel uh, drags down a bit. So, because in Empire Strikes Back, you're invested in these two parallel storylines, right? You have Luke and Yoda's training, and you have Han Solo and the Falcon with Leia. Over here, when one storyline is like far superior than what's happening in the other part, then you're just bored or like, come on, can we get back to the good stuff? But honestly, I think I don't understand the criticisms when people are like, oh, Ryan Johnson just kind of went in a totally different direction. I think, especially in retrospect, as someone who doesn't like The Rise of Skywalker, I'm really happy with having The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi as like a one and two parter, if you get what I mean. So I just totally disregard The Rise of Skywalker. So, and I think everything that's set up in The Force Awakens is explained in The Last Jedi, and I feel like most of the payoffs work. Whether it be Snoke dying, setting up this potential for Kylo Ren to truly become the big bad, which never really happens. If anything, I feel that the Rise of Skywalker just disregards everything that happens in The Last Jedi. But that's also a conversation I shall save for later. But yeah, on the whole, I love this movie. The stuff with Rey, Luke, Kylo, and Snoke, peak Star Wars.
Wow, that was a very positive response in comparison from what we heard earlier. Fez, would you like to add anything to this?
I just want to add again to Jang's point about Luke Skywalker and Rey. I do agree that it was too much. I mean, like, not too much. It was just wasn't, it was kind of one-dimensional, because personally, I was very excited when Luke Skywalker was back. I was like, oh my God, I really want to see him. What happened to him? And I felt that Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi was written very kind of like, just how he was portrayed was very one-dimensional. He was always this angry old dude that was just emo and just pissed off about everything, which I was just disappointed in, because like I wish we got to see more of that. And I do agree with Jang that did kind of irritated me a bit, because I wanted to see more than just Luke Skywalker being angry, an angry old man all the time. I mean, like, he wasn't that angry at the end, but majority of the film he was this grumpy old man, which got too much for me, which I agree with Jang, and I was just disappointed in that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing also was I forgot to mention just now was the scene with Holdo when she sacrificed herself, which a lot of people really like. It looked really good, like on screen it looked really good, but it made no sense. Like if you can easily destroy an entire fleet just by shooting yourself at them, why don't everybody do that lah?
One,
so
they
like
said it was one in a million. Come on.
yeah, then why did she do it
It's
with one in a
very-
million, right?
But she had nothing to lose at that point. She had nothing to lose. What was she supposed to do? Like, she had no other choice. It was
Yeah,
a
then
do or
she
die
do
thing,
it-
which I think is a great. Yeah, it's a great theme that runs throughout the movie. The Last Stand, giving it your all. Especially that's why I love the Battle of Crate. Just these 12 rinky dinky, what you might call it, ski transport lifting, just going against the might of the Empire. Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Thematically
funny thing
powerful,
is,
beautiful
then
stuff.
what happens if it didn't work? If it didn't work, it just looked like
Then
she just ran
something
off.
else would have happened.
It just looked like she ran off. Oh no, lol, she left us. Let's go. So like, okay, that one in a million move, wow, damn good, ah. So everybody should do that now.
They got lucky. They got lucky. What do you expect? Sometimes convenient things happen. But I don't know. I'll disagree with Fez that. What did you want from Luke? I mean, what, for him to just become a badass and go, "Woo, I'm Luke Skywalker." I thought having a failed master was far more interesting than anything else that what is it could have they could have concocted, because it's interesting to see the most optimistic person in the galaxy again was going to save his father when everyone was like, "No, you cannot save him." Just to see what that does when he took the same path with Kylo Ren. But what makes it all the more powerful is when he rises back to the occasion, right? Like
Yeah.
in Avengers Endgame, what does Thor's mom say? Something about a true measure of a hero is, picking yourself back up again. And I think having him downtrodden and truly down in the dumps, but then rising above that to save the day at the end in the most Jedi and heroic way possible is, I guess, all the more beautiful.
Wow. Okay. So we had a lot for The Last Jedi, and I am very curious to see as to what we'd say for The Rise of Skywalker. That's the last one, 2019. Let's start off with Momo. Let's go.
I like Rey. I like the Force flash fight. I like Palpatine's actor. I'm not saying I like Palpatine. I like the actor as
Mhm.
Palpatine. Yeah, that's about it. This movie sucks. Like,
I
oh my god. Oh my god.
see.
And the thing was, yeah, in 2019, I was like, was it good? I think it was alright. I mean, Star Wars, right? But then, just, and I think I realized how much when I was in denial and finally got out of it was when I rewatched the movie for the fifth time. And then after Han Solo came back, I remember just thinking to myself, I'm bored right now. This movie is so boring. And I was
Ooh,
like, if I
wow.
went home right now after my fifth time, I would be able to beat the traffic and go for a run. And I was
Ooh,
like, do I
whoa.
want to
Oh
watch the
no.
end of this movie, or do I just want to go home and beat the traffic? And I was like, I'd rather go home right now. So I just walked out and left. I was like,
Wow.
yeah, because the third act of this movie is so bad. Like this, it's
Agreed.
just overload of nonsense. The Star Destroyer overload, a stupid amount of ships. You don't feel the scale of anything. When you look at Endgame, which came
Yes.
out like 6 months, there's the emotional weight of everything.
Mm-hmm.
At least you get to focus in on all the
Mm-hmm.
characters,
Mm-hmm.
and you focus in on the conflict between the hero and the villain, the final showdown, if you will.
Yes.
Thanos and Iron Man and the Avengers. It's run through all the way since 2012. But with this movie, there are no stakes with Palpatine
Yes.
and Rey. There's no stakes. You tell me she's her grandfather. You tell me she hates him, but I don't feel anything. They've never met before seeing each other in the third act, so it makes no sense. With the Return of the Jedi, it's not about Luke killing Palpatine. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? They never met each other. It's just a big bad, like, yes, I'm Palpatine, yeah. It's about
Mhm.
the conflict of will Vader turn? Will he
Mm-hmm.
redeem himself? That's the heart of the Return of the Jedi and what makes it so good. I feel like the Rise of Skywalker is a misunderstanding of what makes a finale good. There's no payoff to anything in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the whole reason I wanted to talk about Star Wars again was because Jang told me something in 2019 of how he think it should have ended. And that just stuck in my head like, yeah, thematically it's so much more powerful and it would have made a far more
Ooh.
satisfying conclusion. But yeah,
Mm.
and the pacing in this movie is horrible. Like it moves so fast that you don't get any moment just to relax and take in any of the characters. It's like, oh no, we have to go here, we have to go here, we have to go here. Something is about to blow up. And oh my god, don't get me started on the stupid knife with the Death Star. Like, so you stand at this spot right here, and
Oh,
somehow
oh my
the
God.
movie is almost
Oh, oh,
fine.
that
Oh, that scene
scene.
is
Oh,
idiotic, but and I think some of the dialogue at the end, the Rey and Palpatine fight is just so bad. Just the way Palpatine goes off. I don't
Mhm.
mind Rey killing Palpatine, that's fine, but you have to make it somewhat emotionally satisfying. All she did was just block it. Like, this guy and his lightning just obliterated half the fleet, or like all of the fleet, or disabled it as like an EMP. But she can block it with two lightsabers. Why? Because she got some motivation. There's just nothing makes sense. The Star Destroyer is blowing up. Yeah, I just don't like this movie, and it really makes me sad because if this movie was good, I'd be a very happy man for the rest of my life. But yeah, it's just put a really bad taste in my mouth. It
Mhm.
tries to do so many things. It should have either been a two-parter or whatnot, just to
Mhm.
flesh things out. But yeah, I've vented enough about this movie.
Mhm.
in conclusion, yeah, I'm not a fan of this movie. I give it like a 5 out of 10 or 4. It's probably my
Ooh.
no. I don't know if I don't like. Do I like Attack of the Clones or this movie more? I'd say it's probably my least favorite of the Star Wars movies. All 9 of
Mm-hmm.
them just
Mm-hmm.
end so badly. It's like a fart, I guess. It just sad when it ends.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel anything.
I'm gonna hold on to what you said about Jang telling you back in 2019 about the ideal ending, but I'm just gonna pass it
Yeah.
on to Fez first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll ask that later too. Okay, I will start with the negatives first because I completely agree with Momo for the first time.
Mhm.
This was not the best Star Wars movie. I remember again watching it in IMAX with my dad and my sister, and then when it ended, we looked at each other and we just shook our heads and we just face palm and we're like, oh my god,
A
What
what
a lot
repetition
with
of
the
the
Star
Last
Wars
Jedi.
movies.
what do we watch now? Like what really? I felt like the storyline was just really, really messy. It was underwhelming. For me, the most underwhelming scene was when Poe was like, oh, we gave up, and then suddenly like all the ships come. It was supposed to be like I guess they want to do like what Momo said, like an end game where it all led up to this. We have all these people coming, saving them, and like this, it was just so underwhelming. Like they
I'm gonna
really
say
failed at
something really
that.
quick.
Yeah,
I
sure.
cried at that scene, but I don't know why. I
Oh.
remember watching it for the first time. I was like crying, but I'm starting to think, did I cry because Star Wars is ending? I don't think I actually like the moment. Did I cry because like what the fuck is happening? So I
Yeah,
remember
he
just
cried
like
because
I
so
couldn't
bad.
Oh,
I couldn't control. I have the recording. I couldn't control something like it's
oh
just
my.
this emotion that just came out. I was like, what is it's either what is it wasn't because it was so beautiful, but it was like,
It's
what
like
is going on? Now
disappointment.
that I think about it again, I have no idea what came over me in that scene. But yeah.
Well, for me, I was just rolling my eyes. I was just like, oh, really, really. The pacing is really bad in
Laughing,
this.
remembering Poe going, what is this? Yeah, yeah,
Oh my god,
everyone's
that
here.
meme!
It's
Oh
so
my god,
bad.
wait, have you guys seen the meme
So
where
bad.
where Poe was like somehow Palpatine returned and this
Oh yeah,
Poe
just
rolling
yeah.
his eyes? That was me for the whole film. There was severe pacing issues, like Rey
Mhm.
and Kylo's fight lightsaber scene at the Death Star. That was too long. The final order
There was
where
no
there was this,
music
but I
in
liked
that
it though.
scene.
I liked it though.
I didn't. It was such a disappointing fight. I don't know, like nothing happened. They were just whacking each other. I
I
like the Force Flash fight. I was like, oh my god, this is imaginative. This is brilliant, original. And then the Death Star one, there's no epic music. It's just Ray, you know, giving into the
fighting.
dark side and just whacking. But there's no conflict there with her turning to the dark side because you know she probably won't. It's not the same with Luke. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
mean,
this
I
movie.
actually like that they didn't add any music. I just thought it just stripped back everything and it just kind of made it like, oh, granted, you can hear the sounds, but I thought it was way too long. I was getting really bored. I also thought it was just so predictable. Like this movie was really predictable. I was like, okay, like for example, when they thought they were defeated, I was like, okay, there's gonna be a bunch of ships coming out, and it did. And I think it was really predictable because prior to the Rise of Skywalker, the Mandalorian was still showing. So, but literally the Mandalorian
Mm.
episode before they were showing Rise of Skywalker, they showed the child, or if you got Baby Yoda, they showed
Baby
the
Grogu.
Grogu. They showed Grogu using its force to heal
Force healing.
people.
Mm.
Yeah. So when Rey was at the snake and she was about to do it, I'm like, oh, she's gonna heal. And then when like Kylo Ren saw Rey, they're like, oh, he's gonna heal. Like I don't know. It was because of the episode that I watched that I kind of predicted all of it. I was just so, ugh. And there was a lot of plot holes. Like the plot hole that I was so pissed about was in the movie, Finn wanted to say something to Rey, but he just never did. The whole movie, he was like, Rey, I have something to say to you. And it didn't. And I found out from interviews that he just wanted to say he was force sensitive, which like really, like that was the whole reveal. Like, and also, did we have to watch interviews to say that he was force sensitive? That was so disappointing. Like
Mhm.
and when they announced Palpatine in the Star Wars celebration, I didn't
I was
know. Like,
excited.
no,
I was
I was
excited.
I was the opposite. I was like, no, are they gonna no, he's not gonna be the main villain. And then when he was, like, I hated Palpatine so much. It just like why did they bring him back? Like, why did that's my problem with J.J. Abrams. Like, why is he recycling things? Like episode 4 with the Death Star and Palpatine. Like, why I just don't understand why they brought him back. And he did absolutely nothing. He just sat on his chair. I couldn't understand a single word he said. It was just so I was just
That
so
is
pissed.
what I want.
So pissed. Like, you could have
It's really bad.
you could have been
Did you
so
not think the performance was good at least? I thought the performance was great.
I just thought it dragged down so much, and like again, he was one dimensional. Like, he just sat there, did nothing, and like I think Momo, you said that they just couldn't. It was just convenient the way they wrote the storyline. Like, it was just convenient that Palpatine set all this up. Like, it was just lazy writing. I'm so sorry. It's just lazy writing, and I remember. I'm gonna steal Momo's point, but I'm gonna credit him. We talked about this in the group chat, I think last year, 2 years ago, but he mentioned a really good point about the color scheme. And when Momo said about how everything is blue,
yes.
like Momo, I completely like I was
It's
like, oh
so
my god,
ugly.
it's so true. Like in The Last Jedi, you
It
have this
is.
red contrast, and when Momo
It's very
said that,
vibrant. The Last Jedi is so vibrant
yeah, with the
color-wise.
posters, I completely agree. I didn't know until you told me your point, and it was so true. And with just the lightsabers, both of them blue, that hurt my eyes.
Oh, at the end it's just blue on blue on blue, and then the lightning is blue, and Palpatine is like, oh, it's so ugly. It's so such the blue sky. It's such a hideous. Oh, I hate that movie.
Yeah, and I completely hate the ending. I hate when the last scene when they're like, "What's your name?" Ray Skywalker. I'm like, "You're not a Skywalker." I'm like, "You're not a
I don't
Skywalker."
mind that.
No, I
It's just very
completely.
cringe. The
I'm
scene execution is so cringe.
It's like a lot of people said, which I completely agree. I hate it because it was like it was so disconnected with The Last Jedi. It felt like a sequel to Episode 7, which was and oh my god, like when we get to Jang, I'm really curious to Jang what he thought the ending should be, because for me, I I don't know if you guys are gonna laugh, but like I thought the ending should be like Kylo Ren should have lived, like learned his mistakes and carried a name and carried a title. That's what I thought. Oh my god, I didn't talk about the positives. I have positives. We will go to Jang.
Are there positives?
I just have two. I'm so sorry if I'm ranting so much.
No,
For
it's all
me,
good.
my one positive is Adam Driver. I thought Adam Driver carried the whole movie. His character development was very good. The acting from him is really good. I love how he changed physically and mentally from Kylo to Ben. My favorite scene would have to be when they
Han
recreated the
Solo?
scene with Han. Yeah, it was literally like a
Oh, his
recreation from
a
episode
memory.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that a lot. I thought
Going
that was
off
really,
another path. Yeah. Good
I
scene.
love that a lot. And I love also like in the middle where near the end when Ben was reaching out to Ray, they don't have to say anything, they just felt each other and they looked at each other. I like that
was a good
up to the until I hate the kiss scene. The kiss scene was horrible. I didn't feel a thing. And I like the CGI and the lightsaber scenes. That was the only things I like. Now we should pass it to Jang because I talk too much.
I'm glad it
But
wasn't
I
just
mean,
all pain for you, Fezz.
I don't know where you're getting it. I thought Kylo Ren was just wasted in this whole movie. Like with The Last Jedi, you have this great idea. Oh my god, what if Kylo Ren became the big bad? But what? No, he just became the same person in 7. He's still hunting Rey. He barely says a word in this movie. He's not even
Oh
a
yeah.
supreme leader. The opening scene is pretty cool, but he has no dialogue or anything. He's basically just an exposition device for Ray. I tell you who your parents are. Huh? I tell you. And now you're gonna whack me at the end, and I save you. But Adam Driver does the best he can. Does the best he's able to with what he's given. But yeah, he's not the standout of the movie at all. I think Daisy Ridley is the standout of this movie. Ray's, for me, my favorite scene in this movie is the opening scene where Ray's training in the jungle, because I feel like that's the only part of the movie where everything just slows down and you just get to enjoy, some character movements, right? And it wasn't blue; it was all green and lush and beautiful. Yeah, and the score, John Williams' score. Yeah, the only scene I like is when it's not blue and grainy and dark. But I apologize. Uh, Please pass it to Mr. Jang.
Jang, yes.
I okay. Just to
Jang,
say
Jang,
something that
Jang.
Momo
Kang, Kang,
that
Kang.
Momo said. No, it was Kylo Ren's last line was "ow." That was literally his last line. He just knocked the wall, "ow," and then after that he didn't
Ow.
say anything else. Okay, let me try and save as much as I can. Okay, so what is that? J.J. Abrams, like, I know this movie was like ow, but like what is that? I really blame not yeah, I guess blame The Last Jedi for most of this, because like Ryan Johnson tried to go in a completely different direction with his movie, and then what's his name, JJ Abrams has to now try and think of a story to do it. So like a lot of things that they had to do was just like that's why um Palpatine, that's why like what Fez say, how it's just so like convenient how everything's here. If you ask me, that's kind of like the best he can do, because like Ryan Johnson has made don't know what he's trying to do. So because of that he had to try and redo everything, and then especially like Kylo Ren, he had to rebuild his mask and everything. I was just like, yeah, because Ryan go and destroy in the last movie, so now he has to bring it back. So then like a lot of the reasons I was just like okay, I kind of forgave a lot of the movie, because I was like he just had to try and repair what happened in the last. Like I agree with Momo, I really liked the opening and it was fast, and I was there in the cinema, like when I said I was like it better be fast, because he's got so much things to do if he wants to get this done. So because of that, like the Kylo scene, he was killing people, then he found the Emperor, and then what is that, the first chase scene, the one where light speed skipping and all.
Win
I
the
was just like, yeah,
war.
I was just like, go faster, we got no time already. So like and then they brought back, okay, I'll say good stuff. They brought back Leia, which was really well done. I really like, she's not there, but they really made it. I wasn't bothered that she like this. They've just made it perfect. Like
The
she's just there
CGI.
enough that, yeah, the
Right.
CGI is good, and they recycled some footage, I think, but
Mhm.
they did that really well. The Kylo Ren and Rey, when they were fighting the flashings, the one when they were fighting with the flash, I
Flash
really
fight.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
really
was
like
amazing.
those scenes, like they were talking and it's not blind fighting like Momo said, like on the Death Star, that was just like just whacking people.
Whack.
No. Yeah, but this one was actually like they were trying to say stuff, and then I really like they when Rey was down, when the Emperor was winning and everything, and then like you could hear all the Jedi. I like that. That was good, but like, I yeah, that I just feel so bad, because this movie could have been good if they just
The
let
ending.
JJ Abrams do the whole thing and let his story let him follow his story, because like he had to like just, it's like you're writing a report and then some other guy came and then he just changed everything, then you have to rewrite the whole thing again, so it's like ayo.
I see.
So like he just had to do that, so well, what do you want to
No,
say?
but yeah, see, that doesn't hold water to me. Where you're like, okay, Ryan, we sound like parents trying to discuss our children, like JJ or Ryan. Who are we blaming? I honestly blame Kathleen Kennedy, if
Yes.
anything,
Yes. I
because
agree with
yes,
you.
I don't blame JJ because she just was like, okay, you write Force
You're right.
Awakens, and I think they had a plan or something, but yeah, whatever. But if
Oh.
JJ wanted to stick around, then maybe he would like something simple. But if JJ wanted to stick around, then he should have, right? I'm one of the few people who think. See, here's the thing with the Last Jedi. I think it picks up from the Force Awakens, but maybe it doesn't leave as much room to go. What is it for the next sequel, right? Like it ends, and you're like, I would be satisfied not seeing a sequel. Would you guys agree with me on that? So maybe Ryan Johnson didn't set things up for a finale, right? Like an Infinity War, a Civil War, where the pieces are set and the next person can just run with it, right? I think that's a fair
Yeah,
criticism,
I
but
agree with that. Yeah.
that's fair. But I don't know if JJ wanted to stick around for 7, 8, 9, then he should have, because originally it was supposed to be done by Colin Trevorrow, and you could read the script online. But again, Kathleen Kennedy just went like, I don't like the script Trevorrow was writing. JJ, come back. And yeah, I agree with. I think Jang is right, but not completely right in saying Ryan Johnson, you suck kind of thing, where JJ had to do all the heavy lifting. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, most of the blame I think should go to Kathleen Kennedy, but good job JJ for trying to put something together.
Yeah.
But as
Mhm.
Jang I think will point out later, the ending could have been solved in just one quick stroke of genius writing.
Before we
Yeah.
get to Jang's version of his ending, Fezz, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just want to add from both Jang and Momo's points. Like, I think I agree with Jang that JJ, I think of what the material and everything that happened, I think JJ Abrams did his best in working with to try to create a movie to end it. I think he did it best, but I do agree with Momo. I am so sorry. I'm not passing any hate to Kathleen Kennedy, but I just wish she was more organized with what she wanted to do. Like, for example, Kevin Feige, even though for like in each movie they have different directors, it all led up to something because Kevin Feige had a plan that it led to like Endgame was successful. And like, even though, like, for example, I guess Thor was directed by different directors and written differently, it was still consistent because Kevin Feige knew what he was doing and he planned it so that it wasn't too rushed, but it was naturally done. And I also want to blame Disney because I read a lot online that Disney wanted to keep it safe and they were very strict with the creative material. So I believe with that and this organization, I think that's what led the Rise of Skywalker to be really disappointing. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was mostly just Kathleen Kennedy just going to Ryan Johnson in episode 8. You want to make a movie? Okay, cool. And then when they threw out the script, they went to JJ. You want to make movie episode 9? Okay, but pay me. So I don't think there's a lot of interference. I mean, if they suddenly had an explicit nudity like orgy at the end of 9, that would have been a problem with Disney. But other than that, I don't think Disney cares about anything. As long as I don't think they care about the Rise of Skywalker. The only thing they care about is the fact that they made like $1 billion. They're like, hey, good enough for us. The mouse wins.
Jang, is there anything you'd like to say?
Not just to say, following Fezz's point, it's just planning really. It's if they had planned the all three, like it's like if they said to like Ryan Johnson, like you maybe you do the next one, but you need to hit maybe this point, so then the next person can do, or maybe they got the 3 directors together, like by the end we want this, so then like we roughly have like a structure, but they were more like Momo says, like okay, you do now lah. So then it's just literally they just sit there and then they just dump a pile of stuff on you and it's just like, okay, make a movie with this, and it's like, okay, and then the next person you go, it's your problem now. You know what I mean? So like if they work together, like it would have been much more coherent and it would have the story would have made much more sense.
I wanted to just add one more point about the kiss scene. It wasn't until when we were discussing spoilers Loki episode 6 and Mel, you pointed out about how the kiss scene felt really Disney. So when you said that, I was reflecting on Rise of Skywalker and I'm like, the kiss scene between Kylo and Rey also felt so Disney. You know, why did they have to do that? They don't have to always end up together, if they're meant to just I just also I just wanted to point that out because I do agree with Mel, like Disney kind of just likes to put kiss scenes and yay, everything is fine now, I guess.
I like how Disney's an adjective that we can use nowadays for like kiss scenes. I'm like, oh my god, that date was so Disney, that kiss was so Disney. But
True.
Yes, Momo.
Here's the thing with the kiss scene, right? So we're all saying, Ryan Johnson set something up completely, but something completely different, blah 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 blah. But the whole reason I don't like Reylo is because of the Force Awakens. I just am that interrogation scene with Rey and Kylo Ren and how Kylo Ren, meets Rey, I guess if you could call it like that, or their dynamic then, the Force Awakens especially, abusive, villainous, this tormentor, right? So I don't get all this lovey-doveyness and why they even gave them a kiss. That's what makes me so disgusted, because I just think of the interrogation scene, The Force Awakens, so I have no idea who's watching that and go, ooh, sexual tension. I'm like, yeah, beat that bitch. That's what I hear from Force Awakens. Like, yeah, fuck you, Kylo.
Right.
Go away. That's what I get. I'm not getting like, ooh, steamy. I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of weirded out if you think that's steamy. So
it's kind of reminding me of like I know we keep bringing up episode 3 of Loki, but
God.
They like set it up to be like they hate each other and suddenly they love each other, and I'm like, doesn't make sense. But I just want to add one more point before we go into the next section, is that as I mentioned earlier in episode 7, that I really like what they did to Finn's past, and I think something different to Star Wars of really understanding like what it's like to like the life of a stormtrooper and how like stormtroopers can be like corrupted and like mind manipulated. So and I really wish, like that's why I was so disappointed that because JJ Abrams created that, and the fact that he didn't utilize it at all in episode 9 was wasted. Like it's such a wasted potential because it's such an interesting storyline to understand the trauma of being a stormtrooper, and the fact that that was completely missed out was disappointing, other than the fact that there was just another girl being like, hey, I'm a stormtrooper too. That was just so wasted. I wish we got to see Finn being traumatized more of being a stormtrooper and what his, I guess, like life was like when he was a stormtrooper. I just felt there was a big missed opportunity of doing that. Yeah.
But they did that in the Colin Trevorrow episode 9. Like Finn leads a stormtrooper rebellion. If you have time, just go check out the Duel of the Fates. I think the Kylo Ren stuff and Vader, it doesn't really work because they're still babbling on about the parent stuff. It doesn't work, but some of the other stuff like Coruscant, Finn's arc, I think it's far more interesting. But that movie will never see it happen anyway. So why bother?
So I take it that the general ranking would be first Force Awakens, second Last Jedi, and the third The Rise of Skywalker.
The law of diminishing returns. It just got
yeah. All right. Ending this segment with Jang's version of his ending for Rise of Skywalker. I'm really curious to hear about that.
Yeah, I'm so curious.
So about that, this voiceover is to say that this episode was absolutely excellent, but it runs about an hour and 30 minutes, way too long. So what we did is we're gonna splice this episode into 2. So stay tuned for part 2 next week, and thank you for listening to this podcast.